Hello, BookTube, and welcome to my 500th video. I only noticed that by going to opening up the app in my phone and looking at my channel, and it said that I have 499 videos at present. And there's nothing pending, so that means, yeah, this will be the 500th. I'm a bit surprised. I only started the channel in late January 2020, so but this video, the 500th video, is sort of to wish everybody a Merry Christmas, and I want to thank all those who have reached out with cards or emails or messages to me, and I thank you very much. It's very appreciated, and I wish everybody I've contacted all those privately, but as everybody else, I just wish everybody a Merry Christmas, it's hard to believe another Christmas has rolled by. And also, I want to talk about just a few other items that I've received, books and a few Blu-Rays, and a bit of liquid refreshment, let's say. And also just sort of a summary to a certain extent of this year in reading, and sort of like I've already gone through this, a few plans for next year. There's a few that are set sort of in stone, and then there's a few others that are up in the air, and then the rest is sort of open for things. But for this year, well, as many will know, it didn't start out too great for me. Well, January did. I was going sort of great guns reading. I was in the midst of reading African history and Zulu war history, and then at the end of January, on January 25th, to be precise, I had a heart attack. So I was in the hospital for several weeks, and then while in hospital, I caught COVID. So, and then that sort of laid me out for all of February, March. And it wasn't until sort of late April that I was even, I think, beginning to read again. I started a bit of a reading journal here. Let me see, when did I start this? Where can I find it here? I started it actually May 1st, so yeah, it was very late April, so beginning of May, and I didn't keep it up. I'm poor at doing this, but I was keeping a list of books that I had read. We'll get to that in a moment, but yeah, so I began reading again late April, beginning of May, and things were going okay. I thought like I was improving, slowly improving. And I was reading a lot for May, June, and then the beginning of July. And then things took a downturn late July, and that's when I got my first vaccination. And that just laid me low for like 2 or 3 weeks. Well, actually, about 5 weeks in total. And it sort of broke my plans up I had plans on reading a few books, or specific books, in August, but that didn't happen. And some of those hopefully will be were put on the back burner for next year, and I'll get to that in a moment. And then I started slowly crawling back a little bit, and other things happened. All of a sudden, I started getting some injections. I think it was B12 injections, and that sort of laid me low again for many weeks. So I started crawling out of that, and then about 6 weeks ago, I had a bad anaphylactic reaction to something, allergies. I think it's the COVID that the doctors don't want to say that, but it's like I do have allergies, but I've never had anything this bad. So I recovered, like, in the sense of the swelling in the throat and the tongue very quickly, like within that day, within 24 hours. But the long-term effects have been sort of carrying on even now, I think. It's very fatigued, so there's very few hours in the day that I can actually do something like this and be actually coherent. And even right now, I can talk, sort of, But if I start reading, I'll read like 5 or 6 pages, and I just get really tired. My mind goes off to another place. I just wander. So it's very difficult. But anyway, reading wise, let me see here, because I should have done this before, because I kept up the list here a little longer than I did. I finished making notes in here. Well, actually, late May. So I still had June. So I think I stopped putting things in here about mid-June. Let me see, how many do I have here? I got 70 books listed in here, and that's to about late June. And I've read, like, I don't know exactly, but I've hit over 100 books this year, which is not what I had sort of hoped for. It's okay. It's like, if I would have kept up at the rate that I was going in here, I probably would have had 200 plus. But there was just no way of the way I felt. So yeah, so that's about it. And I'm still reading a few things. There's videos that I've promised, but they're being a bit difficult because I'm reading still. I'm still reading Make Room, Make Room by Harry Harrison. Oh, that's kind of interesting. Just as a thing, I like bookmarks, and here's one that's a bookmark by from bookseller James Thin in Edinburgh, and it looked like he had several locations in Edinburgh, and I've got a few of these in books. And it's got a back. They're not cardstock. They're just heavy sort of paper, but they're kind of nice. But yeah, no. Get back to the book. Harry Harrison's Make Room, Make Room. I should. It'd be nice if I could finish this today, but I won't be doing the video for Soylent Green until next week, if I'm lucky. Knock on wood. The other one that I'll be reading, hopefully, we'll see how it goes this weekend, because I normally read it Christmas Eve, Christmas Day. It's a tradition with me, and it's a tradition with a lot of people, is Charles Dickens' Christmas Carol. And it's very short. It's a novelette. What is it here? It starts on page 9, and it goes to, so it's like 70 pages. Normally I sit down in one sitting and read that in a couple hours, but it's going to take me longer now. And then I hope to do a video regarding that, but that'll be out of sync. Actually, no, I'll probably do that one first. I won't be doing it this weekend. It'll be early next week, fingers crossed. And then the Harry Harrison one will be the following Saturday, whatever date that is. That'll be into January. So I do apologize. And also too, I've been asked more than by just one person to sort of show my Christmas books, or Christmas stuff that I have, Christmas collection books mainly. But most of them are still, like, I can't access them. And I've only been able to sort of get together like 5 or 6, and I figured, well, it's not worth it. So at some point I will do it. I don't know when, so I do apologize to those that were hoping for that. At the very least, it'll be next Christmas, and Christmas 2022. It seems like the correct time to do it, and what I'll do is I'll do the books that I have, and the videos, the DVDs and Blu-rays that I have, and that's what I've been doing a little bit, is watching DVDs, and for the Christmas Carol, I'm watching a few versions of it, and I'll talk about those in the video. Yeah, so that's sort of wrapping up 2021 more or less for reading. For a few other things that I received as gifts, I received a very nice another Library of America edition of the collected essays of James Baldwin? Yeah, James Baldwin. Why did I see my brain doesn't work that well? It's a bit of a, like, it looks very slim, doesn't it? Well, that's the joy of these. It it is, in fact, over 800 pages. And I've wanted this for quite a while. I love essays, and I do like his essays. I've never read all his stuff. I have to look to see. I don't know if this is complete, but it'll do me for quite a while. And also, too, I'd already received volume 1 of the short stories, the Everyman edition by a viewer as well. So that's very thankful. And from a friend, the 2 literary criticism volumes in the Library of America. They're over 1,000 pages long. I'm still waiting for the second volume, but that won't be here till January. It was ordered by another seller, and I think they're getting it from the U.S., so it'll be a while. But other things that I got, another one, or well, not book, but there was three Blu-rays. I Many of you will know that I'm a classic film fan. I love silent films and European silent films and everything. When it gets into European sound, like non-English films, I like some of the early 30s stuff and into 30, like mid to late 30s. But I've spent a long time in earlier days, like 20 years ago or so, trying to watch old non-English films, and I just could never get into them. But last year, I had decided I want to rewatch a lot of stuff. Classic non-English films, whether it be European, Japanese, whatever. So, and as you can see, there's Blu-rays here piled up. Those there, the white spines, are from a German sort of film, what is it, museum edition or something like that, and they're silence, and they're DVDs, and there are a lot of good silence, not all German, but a lot of it is German. There's some French in there as well. I'd like to get everything that they put out, which would be nice. But anyway, so I've been, and you can see more here, I've been sort of collecting, and I had planned this year to watch more of those, but health-wise it didn't happen. So possibly 2022 will be that. But so a friend was very nice. Well, it was sort of in lieu of something else that I was supposed to get, which I'll buy myself in the new year, fingers crossed. But Jean Cocteau's Orpheus, or Orphe, it's a retelling of the Orpheus myth. And Jean Cocteau didn't make too many films, French filmmaker. He died in the 60s, I think. He made 6 films, I think he's more poet and playwright. But I've always been interested in him, period. There's a great big biography, a new one that's like, I think about almost 1,000 pages I'd like to get. But anyway, that's another matter. And this is a BFI, the British Film Institute edition, and I love these. I like the ones that are like for classic films. The film is the important thing, yes, but I love commentary. I love the extras that are on it, and I love booklets. And BFI are one of the few that do excel in booklets. And this is like a 30-some page booklet with some essays, and it can vary. They can have essays, new essays, newly commissioned essays. They can have reprinted essays or excerpts from diaries, letters, and what I particularly like are the older essays that were written, contemporaneously, more or less, but I do like contemporary with the film reviews that are reprinted. I really love those. So at BFI excels in that, and they do all sorts of things. So I've got a lot of Blu-rays and BFI, and another one that came out recently is, it's not directed by Jean Cocteau, but it's based on his novel, and it's this dialogue by Jean Cocteau. It's a film by Jean-Pierre Melville. One that I wasn't familiar with, Les Enfants Terribles. Terrible Children or something like that, or Terrible Infants. He did do one, Terrible Parents, I think. So I don't know if that they're connected at all. Jean Cocteau did. But this again is BFI. It's a limited edition thing, I think, and that's the problem with they're doing now. They're doing limited editions with sometimes just with the booklet, and then the regular edition comes out and there's no booklet. This is 24 pages, and it's got probably a commentary. I haven't looked at it closely. Another that was BFI again. Another one is the Eureka is the company, but they do a series called Masters of Cinema, and this is one of the newer ones. This is number 257. I've got a slew of them. I've got majority of them, and excuse me, this is again another limited edition. It'll then finally come out just like this without the little slipcase. Slipcase I'm not too worried about most of the time, but it's the little extras. Like there's a nice big poster. It unfolds. You won't be able to see it. I can't hold it back far enough. And then there's cards. There's screen grabs. So that's kind of nice. And also too, they do a booklet. This one's a bit slim. It's still 33 pages. But yeah, so and they're like, it's called Masters of Cinema, and I really like the way they do things, and they do all sorts of films, mostly classical, like older films. However, they do new films as well. Newer films. I'm not terribly interested in most of the newer films. There's sort of Japanese or some European ones, which I'm not too enthused about most of the time. But I'm sure that there's a reason for the quality that they would take them, that they would put them out. But it's the silence that I particularly like, and other ones. So and there's other companies that I No, I won't deal with that now. I probably will go through my Blu-rays and DVDs. That's not everything here. I still have some. I used to have a huge collection of DVDs before Blu-rays came out, or they were coming out when I sort of stopped. I used to have a massive collection, all classical, and I had like over 1,000 silent film DVDs. There were duplicates and stuff like that, but I was crazy on those, but I had sold most of those, and I still have some, but I've taken them out of the cases because I needed space, and I've put them in some sleeves which you can't really get to now, but yeah, I might go through the Masters of Cinema, the BFI that I have, and another series. Well, yeah, I won't get into the series ones. I'll leave that for another date. That might be an interesting video. If anybody's interested in that, just pop something into the comments below, and I'll see what I can do in the new year. No exact dates or anything at the moment. But anyway, that's sort of the rest of the gifts pretty well. Oh, there's one other thing. I said liquid refreshment. Friend sent me, I didn't know it came yesterday, Thursday? Yeah, I think it was Thursday. It came, it's a small, I call it a baby bottle. It's like 20 or 200 milliliters, 20 cl. I think that's centiliters. I've been confused at that. But it's a 15-year-old Glenfiddich. It's a few drams, we'll say. And I call it a baby bottle because it's about the size of a baby bottle for milk. So all I need to do is pop the cork, get one of those rubber nipples, put it on, and anyway, don't need to be disgusting, I suppose, but I do like good single malt, and it's been a while since I've had any. It's been a long time since I've had 15-year-old single malt, so that'll be nice. Yeah, so that's sort of, and as I say, there's a couple other things that will be coming, I think, in January for this, and I've got for the new year. I'm sort of combining a couple of videos that I saw, our ideas for it. Mindy at Mindy's Book Journey, she did a video of, anticipated books for 2022. So there's a couple ones that I'm waiting for. Hopefully, knock on wood again, that I can read them. And then the Bookish Bryants have... or Scott at the Bookish Bryants has his year of big books. And there's several of those there's a couple that I haven't read actually. And there's also some that I want to reread, and I think I've maybe turned them on to reading a couple other things that I might be interested in this year. But well, let's start with anticipated books. Let's look at the list here that I'm waiting to come out. The on May. Oh, okay. And at the end of that's going to be a bit tricky. At the beginning or at the end of January, around the 19th, it says here, is the printing and printers of the Book of Common Prayer, 1549 to 1561, by Peter W.M. Blaney. I'm really looking forward to this. I'm not sure if I can do this. It says, to be released on January 13th. So that's going to be a little tough for me to do. So I may not be able to do that. I might have to wait. And then March, just loading it up here. What does it say here? It says March 24th is the release. And it's the Origins of Science Fiction, Oxford World Classics hardback collection. They're fairly poorly made, but they're cheap, and this is pretty big. It's a collection of essays about science fiction, historical, and there's it's over 450 pages, so it's not bad. So should hopefully, fingers crossed, I can get that. The other book, I've only got 3 books that I'm sort of hoping for. There's other ones, but I don't think I'll be able to get them. It's the Rapture and Melancholy, the Diaries of Edna, St. Vincent, Malay, and that's due to be out April 12th, which I'm looking forward to that. She's a poet I really like. And that's 400, just over 400 pages, Yale University. So that'll be nice. And then there are some Blu-rays and DVDs. See, in January, this is one that I really want. Is called The Sun Shines Bright. It's another Masters of Cinema, and it's due to come out the end of January. The release date is somewhere January 24th. And then there's another one, Masters of Cinema, The Indian Tomb, which is filmed by Joe May, but script written by Fritz Lang and Thea von Harbo. And that's due to come out in February, I think. Yeah, February 21st. It was originally done, what is it, 1920? It's 4 hours and 3 minutes long, it says, on 2 Blu-rays. So I'm looking forward to that. I've seen it before. I've got it's a DVD, an old DVD of it, but this is a new restoration, and that's the good thing of these. They're new restorations with different extras and so forth on them. Also, I think another January one here. No, February. No, wait a minute. There's no date on this one. No, it is February 21st. It's a BFI one. It's South in the Heroic Age of Antique Exploration on Film. And this looks quite interesting. It's photographed by Frank Hurley. South is a film recorded of Sir Ernest Shackleton's heroic but ill-starred attempt to cross Antarctica in 1914-16. So yeah, that'll be nice. It's a couple Blu-rays, I think. It's almost 4 hours long in total. And there's a few other things that are in March that look interesting. This is another one that I was going to talk about. It's called Indicator. It's a series, but they do similar things, commentaries and so forth. And booklets, but they are definitely special or limited edition ones that if you don't get it, then the booklet disappears when it comes out again, and that's part of it. And the price really doesn't change. Well, the price doesn't change much for the standard edition, but once the limited edition goes out of print, it goes up in price. It can go, like, this one is slated at the moment for $17.99, and once that goes out of print, it could go up over £100. So that's just ridiculous. But this is, there are 2 early 33 and 34, I think it is, Mexican horror films. And the one is called La Llorona, directed by Raymond Peon. Probably not pronouncing any of that correct. I am not familiar with these at all, but they look interesting. The other one is The Phantom of the Monastery, directed by Fernando de Fuentes. And they look at it, but again, I'm not sure. But I don't think there's much out that I have of coming out and in March, so that should work. Now, other plans. Plans for 2022. In January, I've already spoken about this several times. Is my future history project, the Isaac Asimov future history project. It's reading his whole corpus of future history stories that by the time he died, he connected together the robot stories, added novels to connect, and then connect those to the Empire novels, and then bridge that to the Foundation series and added to the Foundation series. And then he started pulling in some other things. Other short stories or a few other novels, or potentially that are part of it, or that he planned on bridging the gap and bringing them in. But he died before he fully did that. But not just that. There's about 14 or 15 books that are part of his that he wrote, part of the future history. But also, since then, there has been other writers that have stuck their oar in. And the most significant one, I would say, would be the second Foundation trilogy by Gregory Benford, David Brin, and I forget the other B. Benford, Brin. Anyway, there's three that sort of they intersperse the main three original Foundation trilogy books. But anyway, and then there's a bunch of others, mostly robot stories that have been written, a number of novels, a whole slew, about 20 of them, I would say, a good 20 that have been written since then. Some are better than the others. Some I have not read yet. But what the plan is, that for anybody who wants to go on this journey, is we read it chronologically, sort of within the universe as much as possible. That would probably be best for only people, I would say, but it's up to you. But I would say I wouldn't want to do that until I've read all of Isaac Asimov's stories. I've read all his stuff like at least 3 times, and some of them more. Especially the robot short stories and the Foundation trilogy, I've read more than 3 times. But yeah, and then so we'll read it through. I'm sort of running it in a sense. There's other 2 co-hosts at the time. There's a few that have fallen off. They're not making channels anywhere, but they're still are enthused of doing the reading, which is great. But it'll be myself, Mark Richardson, and Scott Bryant of the Bookish Bryants. I'll put that information down below as well. And that's going to take us, it could very well take us the whole year. It's a big project because in total, like, it's not every story, like there's some short story collections, but in order to do this, you need almost 50 books to read it all. So it's a big undertaking, but it'll be fun. It'll be great. And I still say, if anybody's interested, do pop me an email. I'll leave my email down below. And I'll leave a link to the official announcement for January's reading schedule. It's just short stories, mostly from the Complete Robot by Isaac Asimov. So there's still time for anybody to hop on board. And for those who just want to read, the short stories, great. That'll be fun. And I have a few other possibilities. One of my favorite science fiction writers is Clifford Donald Simak. And I want to do a full read through of his works. Everything, all his short stories, and his novels. But read them in chronologic order of the way he wrote them, when he wrote them. There are some I still need to get. So I might start that late in 2022. I still need to get some things to complete that, or a lot of things to complete that, because he wrote almost 30 novels on top of 100 and some short stories. I don't know off the top of my head the exact number, because not all science fiction. There was westerns and some air war, World War II stories. There's a few as well that he wrote, and a number, I think 4 nonfiction books, sort of juvenile type science books. But yeah, so that may very well begin at the end of 2022, or that might be 2023. But that will be coming. The other thing that I know that I'll be doing, there's going to be a few books. Scott Bryant mentioned his year of big books next year, and it made me think. He's going to reread, or well, no, I think it's the first read for him is The Count of Monte Cristo by Alexander Dumas, the unabridged version. And he's going to read The Three Musketeers, the new translation by Lawrence Ellsworth. And I have not read that yet, so I hope to be able to join him in that one, and to probably reread the Count of Monte Cristo, the Penguin, the most recent Penguin edition. I'm hoping that Lawrence Ellsworth will get around to translating the Count of Monte Cristo. I was sort of waiting for that, but I figured, well, no, I like to read it again, to have it sort of fresher in my mind, because it's a long time since I read the unabridged version. I originally read the abridged, and then I found out after I read it that it was the abridged version. So it took me a few years to search out an unabridged. But that was, I think, an older translation. So this will be sort of a new reading, in a sense, of a newer translation. So that'll be good. And there's a couple other things he has on his list. Some Tolstoy. And A War and Peace. And I am woefully, and I sort of, not embarrassed by this, but the Russian writers have never been big on my list, for I don't know why. And I do want to read them. So I might join him with War and Peace. And he's doing some Dostoevsky as well. I have read Dostoevsky, not all. But I think he's doing Crime and Punishment and Brothers Karamazov, I think. So, yeah, so those are possibilities as well. But also a couple other things that I mentioned to him, and I'm hoping that we can do this, because I'd like to reread this. It's one of my favorite books, to be honest, is Gargantua and Pantagruel by Rabelais. This is the Penguin edition, translated by M.A. Screech. I'd sort of forgotten I had this. I bought it many, many years ago in a remainder place in Cambridge that is no longer available. But on the top floor, in sort of the frontish room, they had paperbacks, and they had sort of, slightly damaged or shelf-worn penguins. And this is one of the ones I got, and you can see there is some sun fading on it, but that's fine. And I think along the top there as well, it's a bit yellowed. But it's wonderful. It's long. It's just over 1,000 pages. I just love it. It was written in early 1500s, late 1400s. Don't know the exact date, but Rabelais lived from around 1483 to 50. Is that? Well, it says 1483 to 1552, so I don't know if... Anyway, so yeah, I sort of forgot exactly when it was, but it's around that time, and it's just wonderful. And he goes, I won't spoil it for anybody. If you haven't read it, I'll be making an announcement if we do, and if you're interested, we can do that. And also too, he wants to, like, he hasn't listed it, but it might be something that I might do myself, is this is the newest translation of Victor Hugo's Les Miserables. I have not read this yet. I bought this a year or two ago. Looks like there's a bit of issue with the binding, but it's bigger than the other one that I've read. The other version that I read, and I've read it several times, is this one here. This was another one I bought at the place in Cambridge, and it's pretty good shape, but and it's translated by Norman Denny. I think it was originally done for the Folio Society, the translation. But this is like 1,240 pages or 30 pages, something like that. Yeah, 1,230 pages. And the new translation, done by Christine Doniger, with an introduction by Robert Toombs. The text itself is over 1,300 pages. So, and the text, the font is maybe even slight, like a point or two smaller. So I'm not sure what's in there, because this will be interesting. And then there's over 100 pages of notes. So I'm hoping to get to this next year. So those are sort of plans. Like these are maybes, and I hope that they will be on there. Anything else, like it's all going to depend on the amount that I'm reading, because I'm now in the 10th month, nearing the end of the 10th month of this COVID symptoms, and like I said, I was hoping to do to be better by now, and I was getting a little better, and then I've fallen back. So I'm not I don't have any hopes for that at the moment. But I'm going to try to deal with what I got. So, and read as much as I can. So, just as an apology before it happens, is that I might plan things and may not quite work out so much. The one thing I'm going to concentrate on definitely is the Future History Project. Anything else will be extra, and I hope I can get the extras in. And fingers crossed, like I say, fingers crossed. I still want to continue my book to film, as haphazard that is. I probably will be soon running out of books to read for films, so I'll have to see. But the Les Miserables could easily be one, because there's been many films done by that. And I've got the 1930s French one that's really good. But anyway, so I've got a few things. So, but yeah, so like if some days I only get a couple hours reading, well, so be it. I'm gonna have to roll with it, and that's about all I can do. I can't force it, because I sit there and try to force myself to read. I'm nodding off, and I don't know what I read. My mind is wandering. And it's not good. So, and also too, it gives me a little bit of a push to do the videos as well, something sort of to fill the day in a sense, while I'm waiting, sort of waiting. There's two things I think when I just said that is waiting for Godot, and the play, and there was a good comedy series of two old people in an old age home, and it was called Waiting for God. So, but hopefully it's not that dire at the moment. But yeah, I'm just going to do what I can do and see how it goes. But I'll put all links down in the bottom. Oh, the other thing is, not only is this the 500th video, last time I looked, at the same time I noticed I had 950 subscribers. So I find that amazing. Then I'm pushing 1,000. Uh, and I don't know if I can get the other 50 or to maintain it by the end of January. I think it's January 21st is my sort of second year anniversary on BookTube. So watch this space. I'll figure out something to do for 2 years, and especially if it's 2 years and 1,000 subscribers happen at the same time, that'll be sort of quite amazing. So we'll see. But do any questions you have, either pop me an email on the email that I leave below regarding anything that I've spoken here, or as like I've mentioned the Blu-rays and the DVDs I got. If anybody would like a little more, I did do actually. Well, I'll leave that to later, but I did do a video of all the silent DVDs that I had left before I took them out of the cases, and they're somewhere on my list here, and I'll refer to those. So I don't need to go through those. Those can be added, as a link if anybody's interested. um, but if you're interested in seeing what I do have here that I've collected in the last like 3 years, yeah, well, no, 4 years, I guess it was. I was slowly, but then in 2020, because of the lockdown, I was working from home, and I was saving a lot of money for transportation to work and back, and I sunk a lot of that into certain things like a bunch of fiction to read, fiction paperbacks, books about films, Blu-rays, DVDs, and penguins. I think were the main things, and I used every month that amount of money, or almost up to that, on specifically those things. So after a year, until I was made redundant in 2020 wasn't a great year either, because I was made redundant at the finally at the end of at the end of November, beginning of December of 2020. But up until then, I was putting that extra money, the money that I was saving getting to work and back, uh, into Blu-rays, DVDs, and books. Uh, but yeah, if you want to see, I'm not even sure, I rambled off there. I think I got off topic. But if you do want to see a video regarding my Blu-rays, do uh, do sound out in the comments, and it'd be something that I got to do. I got to organize them, and I'm not sure how to go about them. I could do sort of silence, and then classics, and then modern, or I could do probably what I'll wind up doing is by labels. As I say, the Eureka Masters of Cinema, BFI, Indicator. I've got Arrow Academy. It's all the sort of same thing, and uh, no, I already said Masters Cinema. The Criterion Collection. There's about 5-ish series of like manufacturers of Blu-rays and slash DVDs that I really like, and the rest are sort of mediocre in general. But anyway, that's another topic, and I hope everybody has a good Christmas tomorrow. I'll be having a few drams after I do have a turkey. I took it out on Tuesday. I think it's still slightly frozen. Hopefully it's defrosted enough so I can cook it tomorrow. It's turkey that's been sitting in my freezer since January of the year, so it's 11 months in the freezer, but it's been frozen well, so it'll be fine. So I didn't have to worry about getting a turkey for this Christmas. So that'll be my Christmas meal, and watching more um, uh, Christmas films, my classic Christmas films, and hopefully reading, if not all tomorrow, on tomorrow and Sunday will be the Christmas Carol. And I again hope and wish everybody all the best for I bet many are thankful the year is over, but who knows what 2022 is going to bring, and all we can do is hope, as a writer, science fiction writer, wrote in a sequel to Babylon 5, there's always hope. It's the one thing they haven't figured out how to kill yet. Take care, BookTube.